What's up YouTube, retrogamergenx here, and in today's video what we're going to be doing is restoring this. This is an Atari XEGS's keyboard, and this thing, only like 2 or 3 of the keys actually worked. And what this thing has inside is one of those membranes. I actually took it out already. We'll be taking this apart, but I've already taken it apart and took this membrane out to kind of take a look at it. And yeah. This thing is horrible. It has so many broken traces, and all this is just like printed conductive paste or ink on this Mylar. And something got spilt on this thing over the years, probably soda or something, and it pretty much ate up a lot of the traces. So I've gotten this conductive paste stuff here. I got 2 tubes of it, and hopefully that will be enough to do this. I didn't realize how many broken traces this thing had until I started really looking at it earlier. So I'll kind of try to show you guys that on camera. It's kind of difficult to see because they're so small and the traces that are broken are so small. But I'll definitely try to show you guys that too. So let's go ahead and get started, guys. So here is the membrane here, and as you guys can see, some of the broke traces right there that have just been worn off by whatever was spilt on this keyboard, and they're just really all over this thing. And I'm not going to really film the entire restoration of me doing every one of these traces, guys. I'll show me doing a couple of them. Alright guys, so the first thing we're going to do is just kind of take this keyboard apart. It's pretty simple here, just a few screws, and it comes right apart here. Alright, let's go ahead and just take the top off here. And this is pretty much what you got. Just basically like this chassis inside of here, you just pop right out. Now obviously, this is what connects to that ribbon cable on that membrane. It's right here, guys, the keyboard controller. And here's all the rest of the screws that I took out of this thing. Now, this also comes apart, and this is what that membrane actually lies inside of, okay? So we'll take this apart as well so I can kind of show you that. Now this thing has a ton of screws in it. I only put just a couple in here, so. All right, there it goes. So as you guys can see, something was definitely spilt in here. It's all corroded in here. We're going to try to clean this up the best we can too. But really, what happens is that this membrane here just lies in here. I'm trying to figure out which way it goes. This way, just like this. And when you hit a key, this little plunger comes down. And there's another piece of Mylar that goes in between these, and it pushes these 2 contacts together, and that makes the contact to do the key press. I mean, a really cheap design on Atari's part, but I mean, what do you do? So, let me go ahead and see how we get these keys and all this stuff taken off. I mean, look at this. We got these little pads that are coming out. Yeah, this is going to be a fun one, guys. So all these little pads can actually just come out, so I'm just going to dump them. And hopefully not lose any of them. That would be freaking horrible. There we go, guys. So that's pretty much the Atari keyboard. Yeah. So let me go ahead and start getting some of this stuff soaked. I'm going to go ahead and clean this membrane too. We're going to wipe it down with water first. And I'm pretty sure that if we afterwards, if we wipe it down with alcohol, it will be fine. I don't think it'll wipe the traces off. I don't think this paste will actually wipe off like that. But you never know. Since it's 40 years old, we'll just do a little test first to make sure. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started on all this here. Next thing I'm going to do is just kind of take this circuit board out of the bottom here. And I've got everything in bags here. So I got the post for the keys, those little suction cup dilly-doo things. They're not really suction cups, but that's what I'm calling them. And then, of course, all the little screws as well on a separate baggie. So I just don't lose anything, because I don't think I'm going to be able to find these parts if I end up losing one of these. It's going to be nearly impossible. Now, one thing I did want to bring up, guys, is that, say for instance, I can't get this damn bag open. Say for instance, if I can't get this keyboard working with the original membrane circuit board thing that it has, I think I'm going to devise some kind of circuit board I can put in here. Maybe do like the PCB way thing. Just create my own circuit board that'll actually fit in here with actual key switches. I don't know. We'll have to see. Hopefully I can get this working, but that's also another route we can take. So there we go. Everything is now taken apart, and we can get everything kind of cleaned up here. So as you guys know, with like the case parts and stuff, I spray with that Dawn Power Wash. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. I'm going to do all that off camera. If you guys have seen some of my other restoration videos, you guys know what I do with that. I'm also going to go ahead and put some dish soap in here, let these soak for a while, and then I just kind of go over these with a magic eraser and get them cleaned up real good. Get everything all dried up. And then, like I said, we'll clean up this membrane as well with water first. This thing is just disgustingly dirty. Clean it up with water first. Then we'll try some tests like over here on these numbers and stuff to see if it actually will come up with alcohol. If not, we'll go ahead and wipe it down with alcohol real good too. So that's kind of the game plan here, guys. So let me go ahead and get started with that. So I got everything cleaned up. I've got most of the rust out of here. I kind of had to actually sand it to get most of the crap out of here. Alcohol, acetone, contact cleaner, nothing was working to actually clean that, so I actually had to sand that. But I think it turned out okay. There's still a little bit of rust in the corners. That's really hard to get out. I got the keys all cleaned up here, as you guys can see. Got them drying. I got the case all cleaned up. It's over in the corner over there on a towel drying as well. But that leaves us, I got this cleaned to the cord and the cable. So really that leaves us just the electronic components now to clean. So what I'm going to do first is just clean the circuit board with some alcohol. Don't really need to do it, but in case there was soda or something spilt on it, I just want to make sure everything is off of here. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. Yeah, she was dirty, all right. So I would have to say something was definitely spilt on this keyboard once upon a time ago. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, I'd have to say that was kind of dirty, guys. That's all nice and cleaned up now. Alright, so here comes the problem child, guys. So we got to get this thing cleaned up. And I know you guys really can't see how dirty this thing is, but it is just disgustingly dirty. So this I can probably get with alcohol. I'm not worried about this piece. This is just water on this towel here. I'm just trying to get whatever it is off of there. Alright. Let me see. Is that going to clean up, or is it still going to have that crap all over it? That's my question, guys. That actually cleaned it up pretty well. It was just water. I don't see any more of that gunk on there. It's not sticky. I'll go over that with some alcohol though as well. But let's go ahead and do this circuit board here. Look at that, guys. This is disgustingly dirty. So whatever was spilt on this thing actually ate these traces away. So I'm assuming it was maybe soda or something. I don't know. I'm assuming it had to be something acidic. Oh yeah. That's looking already 100% better, guys. So here comes the scary part. What I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to wipe this thing down with alcohol now. But I'm going to do that other piece of Mylar first. And we'll do that. Beautimous. All right. So here comes the scary part, guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over these numbers real quick. Rub pretty hard with the alcohol. And then I'll go over with them dry and see. There's absolutely no fading, so I'm going to go ahead and just go over the whole thing with alcohol. So there we go, guys. Nice and cleaned up now. So next thing I'm going to do is we're really not going to work on this yet. I'm going to go ahead and put the keys back onto the keyboard and get it assembled as much as I can, just so I can kind of clear up my desk here. And then we'll start working on these traces here. So let me go ahead and get that started. All right, you guys can see how it's going here. So I'm just basically putting all these buttons back on, or these keycaps back onto these weird posts here. So this is going to take a while. I'm not going to record the whole thing. You guys kind of seen how I've done these keyboards before. I'm just going to place every key on, and we'll be done. So this one's going to take a little bit longer than all the rest because I got to hold these keycaps in, and it's just kind of a pain in the butt. So, but let me go ahead and get this done, and I'll show you guys what it's like afterwards. All right, guys, so you guys can see here I got the keyboard back together. Well, somewhat. I got the keys onto those post things that are in here. Now don't forget, we have all these little, what I like to call suction cups, that will go on the bottom of these as well to make contact onto the Mylar contacts here. So, like I said, kind of a cheap design, but you know, I guess if it worked, it worked. And you got to remember, this was just for a game system. This is Atari doing a lot of cost cutting to basically save money to pass on to the consumer as a cheaper product. But it's one of those things, you know, it's, you get what you pay for, you know. So, but anyway, guys, I got everything all cleaned up here as far as the keyboard goes. So now it's time to start working on this. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to find one of the bad traces. We're going to get the multimeter out here. We're going to put it in on continuity. We're going to check for continuity. Obviously, it squeaks. Now, I know there's a bad trace right here where it's broken. So if I go here, you'll have continuity, right? I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me move this up a little bit. And if I go here, you have continuity. If you go here, absolutely nothing because it's broke right here. So this is the first trace that I'm going to try to repair with this paste here. So this is going to be fun, guys. The better way to do this would be to get a brand new Mylar sheet, or better yet, just like I said, if this doesn't work, I'll create my own PCB to put inside of this case thing and do it that way. But how these were actually really printed back in the days, guys, they had those silk screen printers that has like the squeegees that go back and forth, and they just have the conductive paste, and they just did these over and over. So they would lay down the Mylar And then I used to work one of these machines at HP back in the what, probably mid 90s. And you just hit the two buttons, and then the squeegee goes across and comes back around, and then it lifts the silk screen, and you just pop out. Well, we had substrates or circuit boards, but you would pop out the Mylar. Everything would be printed, and then you would set it to be cured. So pretty cool. I mean, how that's done, but that's how Atari did it. But yeah, it would probably have been better if it was on, circuit boards, even if it was just a conductive paste. But yeah, let me go ahead and get this paste ready, guys. I'm going to just do this little piece right here. I'm going to show you how I'm doing it. So we got to wait till it actually fully cures for it to be conductive to test it to see if it works. So let me go ahead and get a tube here. And so it's just this stuff right here. It's the same crap that they used. It's no different than what Atari used back in the day. Yeah, I thought this was funny, guys. So I directly bought this stuff from China. So it came with this nice little tip here that's the one I'm going to use. But it also came with a hypodermic tip. So like a hypodermic needle tip. I'm not even going to take it out. I'm going to leave it in there. But I'm sure they had a fun time passing this through customs. They probably, the package was open like 10 times, it looked like. So pretty sure they were pretty suspicious on why there's a hypodermic needle in there. But anyway, let's go ahead and give this a shot here. So this paste here we're just going to take out. Pop this bad boy on. And hopefully it will flow. Yeah, that's pretty ugly, but well, it looks like a little bit of this will go a long way, guys. Yeah, I made that pretty damn fat. I'm gonna have to make that skinnier. But there we go, guys. So that should, in essence and in theory, fix that for us. I'm just sucking it back out of the syringe part here. There we go. Put the cap back on, and we'll give that a shot. Let me see how much I used of this stuff. Oh, I didn't even squirt any out. It looks like. So, and that's about it, guys. We'll see if it actually isn't conductive when it's wet. It probably isn't, but I just want to check. We got connectivity there. You got it there. Goes from both sides. And yeah, it's not conductive being wet. So it definitely has to dry first. So I just took a hair dryer here and just kind of went over it for about 10 minutes. Let's take a look here. Hopefully you guys can see that. Oh yeah, look at that. Remember when I tested that was the broken trace. Now I've done a couple more traces up here, and yeah, about 10 minutes of heat underneath the hair dryer works just fine. I just kind of wanted to show you how to do a trace here real quick. It's pretty simple. So like I said, the best technique is to use some masking tape here. And so then you just take this, squeeze a little bit out, and I'm just going to do this little piece right here. What I do is kind of just get it all the way in there, like so. Now what sucks is when I pull this paper up, it's probably going to rip this paper. And it might rip the trace up with it. So we'll see once we get done, but this is basically kind of just how you guys do it here. Alright, and then I just suck it back into the syringe. That way it doesn't leak out the end. Then you take your handy dandy blow dryer here, and you just kind of blow dry it until it dries. Now you'll see, like right now, it's kind of this like silvery color. That's when it's wet. And when it dries, it almost turns kind of white, and you guys will see that. So let me go ahead and do this. I'll fast forward through this. All right, guys. So once you think it's dried, like I said, it kind of turns like this white color. Plus, you'll see the actual trace um, inside the tape. You'll actually see it where it's divided, and it's not just a glob of that conductive paste. So if you just test it from one side to the other, if it's dry, it should do that, as we can see. So that's looking pretty good. Now, what we also have to do is peel all this tape back off. And like I said, I'm kind of afraid that I did it on paper, so when I peel this tape off, it's going to rip the paper and probably rip the trace up at the same time, but we'll see. Because technically this is supposed to be like on Mylar, but we'll see here. It's actually doing pretty good. All right, and once I took the tape off, guys, I always went back over it with this real quick, just to make sure. Now you can see right here I got a little glob, so it doesn't look like I had the tape down all the way, and one like right there too. But like I said, these it's difficult to get these traces skinny, and when you got a whole bunch of them together, when there's only like 1 mil or 2 mil between them, I mean, there's really not much room, so it's easily bridged. So you guys got to be really careful with that kind of stuff. All right, now we'll just check the trace I just made. Like I said, it's kind of an ugly trace. It's not even or uniform, but it's just an example to show you guys. So we'll put it on this side and this side, and there we go. Right there, looking pretty good, guys. So hopefully that kind of shows you guys how this works, and how you would actually do this on the membrane or the Mylar of any of these keyboards or these game controllers, like say the 5200 controllers and other things. So I may try to fix my 5200 controller with this method too. We'll have to see. That might be another future project coming up, guys. But yeah, so I just kind of wanted to show you guys that and how that works. I just went ahead and started just busting everything out. I know I was just going to do a couple of these traces, but yeah, I didn't do that. So I wanted to show you guys that it's now working fairly decently. So if we just check some traces here, this one here, this one here, and so on and so forth down the board. They all work. I've already checked them all, guys. Now the most difficult part was right in here, where it was basically just gone. I tried to draw the traces on the original ones, and they started to bridge. So I went to wipe it off, and when I wiped off the paste, it wiped all the remaining parts of those traces off. And so I basically had to create my own traces here. And right here is kind of tricky because there's not a lot of space, and if you make your traces too wide, you won't have enough space. So I ended up putting, of all things, Scotch tape across here, and then putting the the last trace across to be able to get that to go. But as you guys can see, works just fine. No problem with that.
So in theory, this thing should work. We'll see. I have my doubts, guys, that this thing will still work. But we'll see. You know, I have fixed a few keyboards like this with some broke traces, but nothing along the lines. This was 63 some odd broke traces or so. So just insanity. But anyway, so the next part, what we got to do is put this membrane in, glue the corners wherever the glue spots are here, and also put some tape on the corners around it too, and basically put it back together and see what happens, guys. So as funny as this might sound, I'm going to use just a regular old glue stick here to put glue in these corners here. So let me do that real quick. All right, next step is to go ahead and put this membrane in. I'll go ahead and do that here. And just got to make sure we line it up just right. I mean, I think that looks pretty decent, but let me scooch it over a little bit. There we go. All right. So now we'll do those ones. Alright guys, and this is where it becomes tricky, is trying to flip this over and get it perfectly aligned so that all the little tracers or contact pads are where they're supposed to be. And then finish it off, I'm just going to put some Scotch tape around it. Alright guys, there we go. So now it's just time to basically reassemble everything. Well, there we go. So all put back together, guys. So let me go ahead and hook it back up to the Atari. I'll fire it back up and see what it's like actually inside the case. Yeah, I still don't like the feel of the keys, but let me go ahead and hook everything back up. I just want to see every key work. Here's break, tab, return, control. So if I did like control something,
Yeah, see, it makes a different character, kind of like the Commodore does. I just hit caps lock, so that's working. Awesome. Shift I know works. Oh, what that button is. Oh, that's the switch between. Okay. That's interesting. Okay. Cool. I know everything's working, so we are good to go, guys. I'm going to go ahead and call this a finished project. It was a nightmare doing those traces, I ain't gonna lie. So if anybody's gonna take this on, I would suggest using lots of masking tape to make your traces instead of just trying to draw them freehand. Not a good idea doing that. Learned my lesson there. But it takes a lot of time. Like I said, each trace probably takes about 15-20 minutes to do. And if you have several traces, then it takes a long time. But if you have like a keyboard or a controller that only has like one button or something, like maybe a row in the matrix that isn't working, this is definitely a quick fix to fix this type of thing. So, alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and head out of here. Y'all have a good one. Peace.
Game over, man. It's game